I don't know. I guess they make you. They used to just automatically throw you to the stage, but apparently not anymore. But anyways, welcome to episode 13 of Space Oddities. I know we've been gone for a couple of weeks. Some personal issues here and there, back and forth. Real life kind of catching us by surprise. So hopefully we can get back into it and get back at it, and start talking. Just about everything that's been going on since we've been off the air. Let's see. All right. Hey, Ben, can you hear me now?
I can hear you great, Gary. Good to see you.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. How am I looking? Am I looking and sounding all right?
Beautiful.
At least as good as my old computer can do. All right. You're looking clear too. So let's go over here to the comments. Now, also remember during the episodes, we really encourage people to ask questions, get involved with conversations, add tidbits we might not even have known. Your opinion. I can't always promise I'm going to agree with you, but I always welcome any type of opinion, even if it's contrary to what we believe. If it's hateful, well, I mean that's your problem, not mine. I'll just remove you. But so keep it nice, keep it classy, but you can have whatever opinion that you want. All right. With that being said, we'll go ahead and dive in. So there has been some shenanigans going on since we last were on. First of all, I think what you want to talk about the pyramids first?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. Maybe we give an update on what's been in the news around UAP.
All right, yeah. Well, that works too. We can go that direction. So there's been a couple of sightings here and there. There's one. Wasn't there one in Florida?
Yeah, Dayton Beach, I think was the report, or Daytona Beach.
Was that the one that they didn't know whether they were military flares or not, or was that the one in?
I think it was a rocket launch. Personally, I didn't.
Yeah,
I looked at the video. I'm like, that's a Falcon 9 launch. Like, I don't know anyone who would think otherwise, but one of the videos was slowed down, so it looked like it was hovering. But when you looked at the water, you saw the water was the waves were barely lapping. And then in another video, another angle, I saw it was climbing through the cloud deck and illuminating the cloud deck when it went through it, just like you would expect from a orbital rocket launch.
Yeah, sorry, we're getting back into the habit. I didn't have the background set up. They did some type of major update while we've been gone for 3 weeks, and and now we're having to figure out how everything works again. You gotta love how fast everything's moving along. But either way, it looks like we've got some new tools that we're going to have to learn how to use. But other than that, I think we're back now. So yeah, that and you see the picture of the spiral from the fuel dump from the rocket fuel dump. Made a really cool symbol in the sky, and everybody started freaking out.
Yep, it's a wormhole.
Yep, it's a wormhole. Go call up. What's her face? Let her know there's some shenanigans going on. She needs to summon some aliens. We ain't gonna say the name, but
so that has happened in the past where you had a rocket go out of control and tumble once it's exoatmospheric, and the venting gases from the fuel or whatever was venting. It gets illuminated by the already set sun, so you get this beautiful spiral in the sky. And I think it happened 15 years ago or something like that. I think it was over Norway.
Cool.
And still it's like everyone knows it was well documented what it was, and then you still see that same video kicking around like it's a wormhole.
No, people. So there's a book series called the Sword of Truth series, and it goes hand in hand with his older wizards teaching his grandson how to be a wizard, right? And it's like kind of off topic a little bit, but it'll come back. So the very first rule that they say in the book, I was like, that's actually real. Not for magic, but for just people. He tells them, real magic, whether it's real magic or not, if it's indistinguishable to just the regular populace, it might as well be real magic, and anybody will believe anything if they either fear it's true or they want it to be true. So with that in mind, I think that's absolutely 100% that people will absolutely believe anything if they are scared crapless or if they really want to believe it's true. You know what I mean? Look at the Trump derangement, situation, or the people that I mean. Granted, we're kind of right about Biden, but I mean, he couldn't even really talk or make a coherent phrase or statement. So we were kind of right about that. But I mean, Trump's not as bad as people think he is. I mean, I'm not like riding the bandwagon for him, but it's better to have at least somebody that can string words together than not. So could it be worse? We could have Biden again.
Oof, yeah, or his protege. That would be worse. Personally, I would think. And I was a never Trumper, so and
yeah.
I'm
She ruined politics for a lot of people.
uh,
And I mean, I mean, because of the 2020 crap, I stopped watching the news all the way together. I mean, half the time I learn about something, it's because you asked me about it. He's like, "Hey, did you hear about that?" I go, "I sure didn't, but now I'll go look it up."
let's
But
see. So we've got Spy asking a few questions through YouTube.
oh, okay. Uh,
You didn't miss
LinkedIn gave me some
much.
trouble to find you. Oh, yeah. I threw it on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's kind of garbage. No offense to LinkedIn, but it's always hard.
Garbage.
Uh, I couldn't clear up any election if it's stolen. They all have money. They're all corrupt. I think every politician's full of it. I think we're better off now than before, but only by we're not going to die. I mean, we have a better chance of not going into World War III, at least in my opinion. But we don't have a pushover anymore. That's good. I can't say that I think his morals are worth the damn. I don't believe anything he says about being a good Christian or anything like that. Um, no, Spy. I definitely think that just saying that basically, I would say if anybody doubled their net worth or more in the first year they came into office, they should literally be shot out back for corruption and for uh for treason, because there's no way in hell you're going to tell me that somebody that's making $123,000 a year is going to have a net worth of like $5 to $10 million.
Or
Get out of get
$200 million
out of
in the
here.
case of some
Get
of them.
out of here.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for the insider trading, they need to incorporate term limits on all offices. We can't have, my grandfather's 80 years old. He still refers to black people as those good colored people. I mean, why we have 80-year-old people running the country? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, get between, I'd say between like 40 and 60. 60 should be like the cutoff, even if you're competent. I would say 60 is a cutoff for all offices, period. And I mean, at that point, and then honestly, nobody should be stuck in office so long they become a household name.
Yeah.
I mean, was that North Carolina or South Carolina that had that politician that was like couldn't talk, was in a wheelchair, you know, he was a representative for one of the southern states, and he just
Bird, maybe.
yeah, I think so. I don't remember. I remember. I'm not real super big into politics, but I remember saying he's 90 and he's still in office. What? No, I mean, we got people in office that had strokes that literally are staring at the camera, and you can tell that they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
And we got Pelosi over there. She can't even walk straight anymore. I mean, why is she in office? I mean, but hey, if we go to solid term limits, 2-year term limits where a maximum of 4, I don't see a problem with that. That keeps the ideas fresh. It keeps cap out the age at 60, 65, whatever the actual retirement, the official retirement age for the US is, cap it off at that. And, yeah, don't get me wrong. My grandpa's a great guy. He's got some great information for you, but he couldn't run anything. He can barely run to the store, and that's amazing that he can still drive. And at that, we're about to,
Terrifying.
I mean, yeah, in the same respect. I mean, I think it's almost time for him not to be able to drive anymore. But that's a hard one to broach. Let's see. Let's go ahead and go through this here. We got Spies pretty active. I don't know who you are, but thank you for being active. I like seeing the interaction. Um, let's see. LinkedIn, yeah, LinkedIn sucks. ET, no clue what that means. It's like the school alien case where they forgot to mention that the space debris that came back close right before the start of the UFO craze. Yeah, there's a lot of coincidences like that. I'd say with the school case that you're talking about, if that's the one that I'm thinking of, there was actually a lot of back and forth with that, and there's some good quality uh wow, why do I even bother to even think anymore? But going back, I'm thinking the Ariel school incident is I think what Spy's referring to, and this is what he's saying. And yeah, there actually was debris that came down somewhere near there, but I don't believe that it hit within an area where they would have been able to see it, and I don't think it would have encompassed with what their reports kind of collaborated. And there were enough collaborative reports that there definitely was something going on there. So I wouldn't discount it just because we had some space debris coming down at the same time.
Yeah, that one, when you look into that, the Ariel school incident, and there's a great documentary on it now. It's really, that's one of the most convincing, widely reported, and best documented. There was a Harvard professor whose his name is escaping me, but he was a very a respected Harvard professor, psychologist, I believe, or I'm not going to try and recall, but
Yeah.
he actually went there. He was already in Africa, and he went there the day after the incident, and he interviewed the students, interviewed them individually, had them individually like draw pictures and recount their experiences. So we've got like same day accounts from a reliable, well documented accounts. And then hearing those kids speak even years later, like, I don't think that they were making stuff up, but it's a mystery.
So because I can't do a pre-show and get the link for X, I'm going to go ahead and shoot the link out on X right now so we can get our X people in here. And
yeah, it's always good to be a skeptic, Spy. Be
yeah,
skeptical on everything until it's in your hand or in front of your eyes, and even then, squeeze it and poke it. So we need skeptics, but keep it rational. We don't need irrational skeptics like hypersonic seagulls.
yeah. That's if you're gonna throw out something, don't throw out something ridiculous.
Yeah. Just like in physics, if you need to invent multiple new theories and dimensions in order to fit reality into your theory, string theory, I'm looking at you, it's probably bullshit.
Matthew will laugh about that. Matthew hates string theory.
It's I mean, it's so stupid when you have to literally start building on top of your theory, theory upon theory upon theory, to explain why your ultimate theory has no like observed correlation in reality. You're just making up a beautiful story and building a nice universe around it, but don't tell me that that's likely how things actually work.
Yeah, because just go with the theory of it's highly improbable, but not impossible, and then drop it. Because
Gary, we lost your mic.
Yeah, you see that light go off? That means that that I hit the mic. That's why I to get off. See? So yeah, it's an old mic. I probably need to replace it at some point, but it still sounds good when it works. Uh, but yeah, I have a hard time believing anything other the Nimitz encounter. Obviously, I was there, so it's easier for me. No, it didn't cut out when I cussed. I'm trying not to cuss as much as I have in the past. Luckily, my kid's not here to make me do push-ups for cussing. But let's see. Yeah, my daughter and my wife are actually at a church event tonight, doing some mommy daughter time, some bonding, and oh, cool. But so I got the house to myself tonight. As you can tell, it's really quiet. No kids yelling or anything. It's kind of nice. Um, yeah, with the Nimitz encounter, obviously I was there. It's easy for me to believe that one because to me, it actually happened. I was there. Um, the aerial school, it's convincing, but I remain a skeptical believer of absolutely everything that I personally don't experience. If Ben, somebody that is a good friend of mine, comes to me and says, "Dude, some crazy stuff happened to me last night." I would absolutely believe him that he believed something happened. And it wouldn't be anything personal. I would never make him feel bad about it. But it's just uh where am I at on DC? Um DC, like as in I don't understand the question. I'll be honest with you.
DC. I don't know who do you mean by DC?
Oh, David Grush. Oh, wait. No.
That would be
Oh,
DG.
Washington D.C. folks. I've got no use for them. I've got a lot of people that are that I'm associated with that are working really hard, like David Grush and Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon. Um, I've been privileged to be in contact with some of these folks. I don't know David Crush, but I actually got a really a good friend that has now truly vouched for the guy because I was on the fence about him, and he because I'm skeptical of everybody that's in the government, no matter what. It's just like working for the government in any capacity, whether you're a clerk or whether you're in the military. You see the shenanigans that goes on, the overclassifications, the the secrecy, and sometimes the secrecy is just secrecy just to be secret, and it just drives me up the wall. And I definitely think that there should be weapon capabilities should definitely still be a secret. um we obviously don't want our adversaries to know exactly what we're capable of or not capable of. But if there is, reverse engineered tech, if there's, captured UFOs, if there's, anything of that nature, I think that should have been 100% transparency on that stuff. Um, Only because that's game changing, that's life changing for every human on this planet. I mean, if the Tic Tac is, like there's somebody that I absolutely don't believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah. I would say that let the guys that really want to dig that, really want to take that fight up. I support Grush. I support all the guys that are moving towards transparency and trying to get the government to come clean on what they do know. And I'd even be satisfied if they just like, look, we've got this mountain of empirical data, radar data. We know they exist. We have no idea who they are, what they are. We don't have any of them. We're still researching them ourselves. Do you guys got any ideas? If they came out and said something like that, I'd still be cool with that. I think it's a lot more dark than that. If there really is off-world tech here and it's in operation, then you can pretty much guarantee that we don't own this rock, and that we might be in a situation where our ignorance is our only blessings. So hopefully that's not the case. But as for the clowns in DC, they're always going to be clowns in DC. But there are some competent men like David Grush and working to try to get us some type of disclosure that's real and tangible, not just we'll admit some things are real and then we're going to go ahead and backpedal for freaking 5 years. And that's really what happened, and like in 2000, what was this? I think 2017 or 19 was the
17, the New York Times
the New
piece.
York Times piece. And from there it blew up, then the Navy said, yep, this stuff's real. Then the Pentagon said, yep, this stuff's real. Here's some videos. We're going to blow this thing out of the water. Then it's just like, it slowly just digressed from there. Just kind of like they started to say, let's cram this back. We take this 10 pounds of poop and put it back in the bag. And yeah, there's always NDAs, luckily for me, the only NDAs I've had to sign are just like, I won't divulge government secrets, like how my radar actually worked down to the nitty gritty. And then of course, like when doing filming stuff for like the Tear in the Sky, and when we went to Skinwalker Ranch, and doing the any of the TV shows that I went on to talk about the Nimitz encounter, that's they make you, but most of those NDAs are like super temporary just until the show airs, because they want the pop of the, this is crazy, crazy, look at it, go come watch our show so we can make millions. And then we're not going to pay those guys anything. But thank you for coming on.
I've had to sign NDAs that are so incredibly pointless, unclassified platforms, unclassified customer, and I can't say that I worked on this thing. And it's like, what, why can't, like, there's nothing sensitive about this. It's just like,
no, see, what's sensitive is that you were a hired monkey and they wanted somebody to think that they did all the work.
I guess so. Yeah. It's,
that happens too, man. I mean, outsourced work, like a lot of big companies will outsource the work to a third party and take the claim that, we took care of this for you and you're under an NDA, so that you can't say crap, but you don't really care because you got paid.
Yep. I think that's exactly probably it.
Uh-oh.
Because this was an ultimate government contract, and they would have probably not wanted a subcontractor going to the government and saying, hey, yeah, I built that thing, we can fix it for you. They want to mark it up and then pimp us out as the contractors so that's probably a good point, Gary.
Yeah, so we got PJ Hughes in the house. He was the gentleman that was spoke on behalf of the a couple of the guys on the Hawkeye crew and during the Nimitz encounter. Also a good friend, and hey, happy belated birthday, my friend. He just turned 19. No, not really. He's old as shit like me. He's starting to show the gray, and yeah, I got a little trimmed up today, so some of the gray doesn't look as gray. How's it look? I got lined up real good today. But he's definitely somebody you should respect. He definitely, he's backed off the lime, out of the media as much, and now he's turned his life into a new passion. He's turned into an author. He's wrote a couple of books now. Has the second one come out yet? No, until he says so. But either way, go ahead and go on Amazon and go look for PJ Hughes on Amazon, and he has a couple of books. If you're into the Rainbow Six kind of type style books, he's got that kind of flair, the military kind of lifestyle books. I'm more into sci-fi fantasy. So maybe next time you can write a sci-fi fantasy, PJ. Keep me interested. But either way, he's burning his creative passions into these novels, and I support him all the way. And if your new book's out, I'll go ahead and start. I'll go ahead and buy that, and then I'll have a pile of books that you're gonna have to sign so I can hawk them later when you're famous.
So one thing about going back to the government subject, I did see that David Grush has signed on as an advisor for Representative Eric Burleson, a Republican from Montana. So that's pretty interesting. David Grush participating as a direct advisor to a representative. So
Yeah,
we'll
I
see.
saw
We
that.
might
That was
hear more.
actually one of the points I was going to bring up tonight about Mr. Grush. And the only reason I've been kind of pushing Mr. Grush this evening is just that my opinions definitely skewed more towards in his favor, based off of some private chats I had with a good friend of mine that is, well established in the military complex, and he's just, I told him straight. I'm like, look, I keep all these guys, uh, at a our arm's length, because I don't trust anybody in the government, and it's hard for me to do that, to trust anybody that's gotten any type of rank or high ranking. And he kind of I think, I don't know if he took it personal or not, but man, he went right on the offensive. He's like, look, man, say what you want about anybody, but this guy in particular, you don't understand what he sacrificed to come forward and what he's doing to come forward on all this stuff. And so I kind of had to reevaluate my opinion on David Grush. And, this is somebody I trust. And like I told everybody earlier, I remain skeptically, just, if it's plausible, I stay skeptic, but either way, I can support the guy because he's got some heavy hitters telling me that he's a good guy. And so I'll take this gentleman's word for it, and support him in his endeavors, as I have with Chris Mellon and Lou Elizondo, and all these guys that are trying to change the narrative within the government for getting more disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Spy, if you can clarify your question, he'll answer it right in the chat. He's pretty good about that. I know he's pretty active on X also. Are you still active on X? All right. So if you're talking about the Vatican, that would probably be Diana Pasulka. She actually wrote a book about the some of the government workings. What was the name of that first book she did? It was really good. I actually really enjoyed her. But Diana Pasulka, anything to do with the religion or history or ufology and religion, that's the name to go. David Grush was a military person that had come out and testified to Congress about the UAP programs, and what he knew about it, being in the positions that he was in, working for and within the government. A lot of his was secondhand accounts, but it still, he came out for what for disclosure. And he's, I guess he had a lot of personal sacrifice, and I guess he's been personally threatened. He's been disparaged. They've tried to make him out to be crazy. And the one thing that they really pissed me off with is when they try to use his PTSD against him.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us in the military, whether you're a combat veteran, which God bless all those folks, and my prayers are out for every combat veteran, or people that just had to deal with a lot of, my first cruise, we had a guy literally belly up in the middle of the Pacific. We had a helicopter crash. We lose people all the time, and that, just lose, all of a sudden, just somebody that was there is gone, dead. It's easy to say that, but when you're 19 and 20, that's not so much. So when they decided to try to make him out to look crazy just because he has PTSD, it kind of, they triggered me with that. And it's like, look, PTSD doesn't mean crazy. PTSD means stressed. It means that you have issues, but it doesn't mean that they're not controlled. They can't be treated. I'm well treated within PTSD. I did an inpatient program. They gave me tools. They gave me, I'm luckily not having to be on any actual psychiatric medicine anymore, except for just to try to calm me down a little bit, because I'm always all over the place. But that's it was a trigger for me for that. So they kind of whoever was trying to slander him kind of made me go more towards him when I did that. I'm cold says, let's see, what do they say here? They only tell us what they want us to know. The more I look into this phenomenon, the more I'm not going to even try to pronounce that right now. It is, and the phenomenon can appear. It goes around my camera here. I got my camera in the middle. However, it wants to appear according to your perspective. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because there's actually a lot of speculation throughout all of it, that either they can change your perception, or like if there is an off-world intelligence that's coming here, and I'm still skeptical of that myself. I want to go in the books for that, but the things that have been said, I can kind of see where it can work. So, the way that your whole body works, the way you perceive things, the way you smell, see, taste, hear, is all with synaptic responses. You've got electrical impulses that go to your brain. Your brain then tells you what you're tasting, what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're smelling. Now, if somebody had a technology that could disrupt that and then tell you, no, you're seeing a big, huge owl, and no, you're not being dissected. You're making love to a beautiful woman. It would be, it would go a long ways, with explaining some of these things. And you're right, the phenomenon gets weird. That's why I honestly truly believe it's not just what we saw. I think it's a lot of different angles and a lot of different aspects and a bunch of different things going on, not just these solid objects that we were tracking, the Tic Tac type stuff and the UFOs and the UAPs. I think, the spheres are a different thing. I think that, obviously we have, some gentlemen that see physical manifestations of beings that talk to them, like with the Bloodsoe case, these things that have been, or the case of Lady of Fatima case, where there was thousands of people that witnessed it. These things, I believe that there is a spiritual context to some of them, but I think that they're separate things. I think there's just different things going on that all they just kind of lump it all into one file and call it a day. The Age of Disclosure. Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. I haven't seen it. Yeah, it's on a paywall right now that I don't have access to, nor do I want to yet. But when it is available, I definitely will watch it, because I have a hard time believing that we're going to have too many more high-ranking people than already have, that we've already witnessed, testify in front of Congress. Yeah, I've only seen the trailer myself too. I mean, I probably should get off my ass and start bugging some of these people I know to get me a link to watch it. But, that's probably why I have their phone numbers, is because I don't bother them, or I try not to. But, because it seems like every time I try to ask them, somebody I know that I like will be like, hey, can you get me a meeting with this person? Like, I can ask him. I'm not going to pretend like he's going to even talk to me about it, but yeah. But we can always ask. What do you think about it? You think this is going to be any different than just honestly, I think it's going to be straight on par with just like watching the congressional hearings. I don't know how much more detail they're going to be able to get in it, but Lou seems to be really excited about it. He seems to be ecstatic about it. So I mean, it sounds like he was able to get something out that he hasn't been able to talk about publicly. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the post interviews when is it in the theaters or is it on a streaming service?
It's not in theaters. It's not even supposed to go to theaters, but I don't even know if it's available for streaming yet to the general populace. The last I heard, it had been shown. There were a few showings at South by Southwest, and
I heard that there was like a pre-showing, a screener. I heard there was screeners that went out, but I wasn't one of the privileged ones that got a screener. I would have loved to, but
yeah, I don't think. As people within the UAP UFO community, I don't think there's going to be much for us there. I think that disclosure is more for everyone else who still thinks, who hasn't really gotten the memo that UAP are real, as confirmed by the Navy and the government, and
Mm-hmm.
video evidence and what you saw. But this is more for the folks who just are like, no, there's no such thing as anything, like just still living in the outcome of Project Blue Book, I could say. So maybe it's more, I think it's more focused towards those people. And really, like, the biggest thing that I've heard that comes from it is like, I think Jay Stratton saying that I've been in a craft, or I've seen a craft, I've seen bodies, and he's someone who's been pretty quiet, but
Yeah.
he's, he was Elisondo's boss, I think.
I think there's I haven't pinned down exactly how that worked, but I think he was like towards the end of Elizondo working there, he became the boss of that as Elizondo was on his way out or something of that nature. I don't know if they actually work directly with each other, but I know they've been working in tandem, for years. And then of course there was rumors about, some type of estrangement between the two of them. And then they came out with this movie. So I'm assuming that they're back in, decent graces. And I hope that, I hope this movie has more than I have low to zero expectations for this movie. So when I go see it, I hope to be pleasantly surprised. And, if it's human tech, it poses a problem, because if somebody's hiding that advanced technology, it just bends to say how and why. I mean, then it just kind of, it stinks like like rotten milk, because it would mean that there was an imposed technological cartel.
Yeah,
There would be some type of cartel where they're just only disseminating enough tech to keep the profits up, or to, just like the diamond cartels. Diamonds aren't rare. I hope people understand that. But the cartels know how to keep a stranglehold on the diamond supply, which keeps the prices high. Well, maybe they need to keep us in the dark like they did in the Dark Ages. We could just be still in the Dark Ages, just with extra technology. Now we can all talk to each other, from long distances. And, it's, but we're still stuck on this rock. We still haven't communicated off of this rock. I mean, best we can do is like rough binary transmissions between, space equipment and, audio transmissions from here to the moon. And I'm not even sure. I think that takes like an hour or something like that. I don't quote me on that. I know it's just
moon's a few minutes.
Is it a few minutes?
It's or under a minute. It's Mars is like at our closest, what's the apogee or perigee, I think it's like 6-minute light delay for communication.
Well, for light, but not for what would audio be?
It's the same. I mean, everything. You don't have audio in space because you don't. It's a vacuum. So
okay, so everything's
like
broken down to binary and sent that way.
It's digitized and then transmitted via electromagnetic signals, which are subject to the causality speed of light.
Roger that. All right. Some reason I never even thought about that. Because I'm thinking old cable tech type stuff from working in a cable company. It's like where the stuff over the fiber goes like hell, and then the stuff over the coax is slow, and you have the audio and the visual channels separately, and they move at different speeds. But so it's they don't move at different. They don't transmit at different speeds. They take much more bandwidth, less or more bandwidth. So.
What Spy? You're going to have to say more about that GPS satellite nuclear clock going into future. So GPSs use a very precise clock, probably an atomic clock, and then they solve the position basically through the speed of light delay as received by the GPS receiver. So a nuclear clock going a GPS satellite going into the future. Gonna have to say more about that because I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what whether they found tech or whether they were given tech or whether they developed tech themselves based off of what they saw. Because the other thing that people need to understand is that the human soul itself is indomitable. If we see something, if you take a small child and you show them that a lock unlocks, and you take the key out and you put them separate, and I mean, I'm talking like a 2-year-old, barely ever. Eventually, that kid's going to figure out how to unlock that lock because they saw that it could happen. And so I really truly believe that the things that we see happen, that we can then say, okay, we can go backwards from it. Okay, I know that things can move through the sky at Mach 25 without wings, without an apparent engine. So how? And then get to work. It's possible. We know it's possible. So get to work. So then at that point, now knowing it's possible then opens up all kinds of doors. Things that, prior to that, you're like, oh, that's impossible. That can't happen. Well, we just saw it happen. So it's possible. So it's just, so, don't think that we might not be able to just witness advanced tech and then try to establish our own technology based off of that site.
Interesting. Yeah. So I did want to possibly we could segue and discuss the claims that have come out regarding beneath the pyramids of Giza. What you think, Gary?
Let's go for it. So
right.
what do you think? What do you think? They're big obelisks and it's just the rest of them are down underneath, or what? What do you think?
Well, I don't have much. I mean, I've just been looking at the claims. So if anyone has not yet heard these claims, there's a team named Corrado Malanga and Filippo Biondi, and they have made a claim that using synthetic aperture radar tomography, they've both been able to correlate their data on what is the voids within the pyramids, the different structures within the pyramids, the known structures, the King's Chamber and whatnot. But then they turn to their view downwards below the pyramids, and supposedly that there's these wells, vertical wells that go down, I believe 2 kilometers beneath, 600 meters beneath or 600 meters or 2 kilometers. I forgot what it was, but ridiculously deep. These wells they go straight down. There's 4 beneath, I believe, each pyramid, and then they themselves are anchored into blocks, a block structure that is 80 meters on its side at a depth of either 600 or 600 plus meters deep, with a spiral structure going around each one of these. And if you just Google or ask Grok to show you a picture of this latest pyramid discovery, you'll find this. And I looked into it a little with a bit of depth. This team, Corrado and Filippo, they have a pre-publication paper that was submitted in 2022, which from just an initial read through of it, it's not a junk science paper. It's a well-documented paper. They have, but all this paper makes the claim is it shows their methodology and correlates their data product with the known structures in the pyramids. And that was submitted for peer review in 2022. And as far as I could see, it has not been peer reviewed or published. So that's a little suspect from the beginning. So then this latest claim comes from just less than 2 weeks ago, I believe. and it was made as part of a press conference. The problem with the press conference is it's in Italian, so I believe it's a 4-hour press conference. I don't speak Italian. I can understand a little bit because I'm Spanish, but I've skipped through it and I've looked at the pictures. So they are making these claims that the 3-minute video that made the viral rounds made. They are making claims that there are these incredibly complex structures below the pyramids. And just to give an idea of the magnitude, 2 kilometers below the pyramid means that the pyramid is like this much out of that much. So you're talking about what we think are these megalithic structures that are huge, even to today's standards, they're just the tip.
Literally. But yeah, I have a hard time, with, I mean, if they could figure stuff like that out in that kind of detail, you'd think we'd be able to do that with, other locations on the earth too. I mean, because they say that there's supposed to be under something, tunnels under the Sphinx.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's some type of entrance. So there's a lot of things that the Egyptian governments won't allow you to go into. I got the privilege to go to Egypt, and I got a friend of mine that was a lot. I was allowed to actually kind of go into the chambers, which was kind of cool. I didn't go into any of these, down where like Mr. Beast went, where they had the water and stuff like that. But a general walkthrough where they give the normal tours to go inside. And this was before their before the revolution that they had, and so it was still very stable there, and relatively safe. And I didn't really notice a lot of I mean, I don't have a trained eye, I'm not a scientist, so, but it was really cool to be there. And there's the biggest thing you notice is just the temperature difference as you go down. It gets pretty cool the further you go down. So it was a really cool experience for that. And if there's something underneath it, I'm going to wait for the peer-reviewed paper, or at least another documented, them at least do another pre-publishment with exactly how they got these numbers and exactly how they tend to explain why. They tend to explain their methodologies, but they didn't explain how they can do it, how it's possible for them to come up with those conclusions, not with a degree that would tell other scientists that they're correct.
Yeah, well, the methodology is definitely is sound. It's also incredibly complex, like how you have to do this, because what it's relying on is both a radar return from a passing satellite. So the Umbra satellite provides like surface mapping radar. So you need to have that. Then you also have to have background seismic vibration, and that seismic vibration, you have micro movements of the surface, of the reflecting surface, and somehow through it you can also, and then through multiple angles, you can deduce the speed of the vibrations moving through either stone or a void, and pick that up on the surface. So the imagery in the original paper, which I don't know if I can show that here. When you look at the imagery, it's superimposed against the known structures. There is clear correlation. But now we're talking about supposed discoveries that this is a discovery. So are they looking at noise? And I mean, are we seeing shapes in noise? That's always the concern, and making claims based on just scrutinizing.
Well, shouldn't they test these theories on known objects that are buried first, and then basically extrapolate from that? Yeah, I mean, that just seems like it would be common sense to take an object that's man-made this millennia, exactly what's in there, test the technology, test the methodology, and if they come out as accurate as they think they are with the pyramids, then we can at least trust that their methodologies work properly.
Mhm.
But I'm not seeing that type of science. I mean, their math might correlate and stuff like that, but the accuracy, I don't think it can really be determined unless it's based off of some type of known quantity.
Yeah. Yeah, and so far all I saw was they did just that, but on the exposed aspects of the pyramids. So you're not, and I don't, maybe they have done this because that's exactly what should be done. Go look at the at CERN. Go look at some of these massive subterranean structures that we've made, gravity wave detectors. Those are buried deep, and huge. So yeah, that would be what I would want to see. But really, what I'd want to see is just, let people explore these places, because they're, like you said, like, the Egyptians have like a have it all locked down. They have their orthodoxy around what they claim the pyramid origin story is, and a lot of that has just been proven to be just a load. Just like the fact that the Sphinx has water erosion on it. Like, no, it wasn't built 6,000 years
Well,
ago.
it's got I think they had remnants of barnacles and like and
Probably.
sea creatures that were
Mhm.
embedded into it too. So it had to have been around when, it had to have been under the ocean at one point.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So
yeah.
we're talking probably. I mean, personally, my feeling is I think humanity is a lot older, and we go back a lot farther, um, than what we think. I mean,
Yeah, we definitely got some history that we don't have.
yeah.
Yep.
Did you eat from the Pizza Hut next to the pyramids, Gary?
No, but I was caught off guard how close to the city they are. You go out of your when I mean, it's like the edge of the city just stops, then it's desert, and then you can see the pyramids right there.
Yeah, yeah, I fully agree with you. I'm cold. The Egyptians
No, when I
definitely better
when
than
I go
pyramid.
to foreign countries, I generally eat local. Um, Plus, they use goat cheese in most of these places, and I didn't really like that. Yeah, not that I have anything wrong with goat cheese. I just prefer cow cheese. But other than
Yeah,
that, do we got anything else we should discuss? I mean, they're doing some stuff in Congress, and they're hopefully making some headway with disclosure. But uh, I don't really worry about that. They got people like Grush and people smarter than me working on that stuff. So other
yeah.
than that, I don't have anything more for tonight. But so what is your final thoughts on for this evening, Mr. Ben?
Oh, it's good to see you. It's been a bit. It's good to get back on and talk to folks. What's UAPX up to then? Okay, so what's UAPX up to? So that's a good question.
Speaking of the devil, you got the UFO dap sitting in the background there. What, you been
I
messing with it?
I have. So I'm working on I'm working on software for the UFO DAP. That's what Gary's talking about. I'll see if I can grab it. So this is a camera system, data acquisition system. It's actually interesting how I'm working on it now. Is I'm writing software, but I'm not writing any of the software myself. I'm asking Grok to basically build this for me, and it's fascinating so far. It
Now,
doesn't work yet, but
to caveat this, Ben actually knows how to write the software, so he can actually
yes.
go through it and see whether it's actually writing it properly and whether it's actually going to work, or and he can proof it. So, um, just caveating that with it. So, um,
Yeah. So yes, UAP. I'm playing with AI assisted software development, as part of an effort for something that UAPX is going to be doing, which we will report when when things happen. Matthew Sadagas and myself will be at
Shadagas.
I don't have the right. Yeah.
Don't worry, I can't pronounce Kugelski.
It's easy.
Kugielski. I'll
That's
get
it.
it one of these
You
days.
got it. You got
All
it.
right.
So Matthew and I will be at Tech Days in New York. I believe that's coming up in April. That's not really a UAP focused event. It's more emerging technologies, and we were invited to talk actually about UAP detection and some of the work of UAPX. So we have that, and I don't know, any more developments you want to talk about, Gary?
We can kind of talk about why we're trying to develop a software for it. I mean, so the original software for the system we purchased is it's not good for rapid deployment. It takes too much time to set up. We want to be able to have things set up realistically within a half hour to an hour upon arrival, be recording, getting data. And so in order to accomplish that goal, we actually have to come up with our own solution for that. Mm-hmm. So we're trying to come up with a software that basically will we could just turn it on and it starts to work.
Yeah,
we don't have to configure it. It can be pre-configured, and then basically all we got to do is turn it on, calibrate for whatever period of time that particular camera, and because we're wanting to do ultraviolet, thermal, visible light so far for camera wise, and then we also want to incorporate radiation, infrasound, passive radar, lidar. We want to also incorporate some type of why am I brain farting on this how to study light,
spectroscopy.
The spectroscopy, yeah. So we want to incorporate all this stuff, and we in a way that we can actually correlate time and location, so that we can then go back and look for any anomalous readings within, like, say if we go through like the muon detector that we use for radiation detection, and we see some type of high energy spike, we can use that timestamp and then go through all the other data and go and see if there's any other anomalous things within that timestamp on any of the other equipment to try to correlate maybe some type of event. And then hopefully then maybe the cameras will show us what it was that we were witnessing in the other data. And so that's how we're trying to track a lot of this stuff down. So in order to do that properly, we're basically having to take software that we know is good but not good enough to be deployed quickly and start data recording quickly, and then making that better and working around the parameters at which we want to develop. So it's all in a good process. It's a slow and steady process, but we want to make sure that we're the gold standard of UAP detection, and we don't want to do it wrong. Mm-hmm. So we're just taking our time and developing it properly, because plus we have zero budget, so that's all we can do. Ben's working on this stuff part-time. I've been working on it part-time. Everybody's like second or third jobs. It's just literally labor of love. Nobody gets paid. The little bit of money that we do get basically just keeps the lights on and keeps the 501c3 going and keeps our Google Drive up and running. And so we don't make a whole lot of money. I mean, we only make money from donations on our website, and then when people buy hats and shirts and stuff like that. So it's just enough to keep me being able to pay the taxes each year.
We're not doing this for money in any way.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was never the goal.
Unfortunately, taxes tend to come out of my pocket most of the time. But yeah, so that's what UAPX is up to. Plus, we're always talking with other organizations, and we're always trying to help out anybody else in the field that is, doing serious, work in the field. And then of course we we've consulted with some government entities to, we've talked to, in the past years, we talked to Arrow, we talked to, Kirkpatrick and his crew, which was a big waste of time, and won't go into it because I'm trying to be a better Christian, and I don't have a high opinion of him, so let's not talk about him. But yeah, that's about it, man. So slow and steady goes, it wins the race, and that's what we're doing. Hey, I ain't gonna fault you for that, but I've just kind of learned that it doesn't get you. It can get you stuff fast, but it doesn't necessarily get you into the right direction.
Yeah, and if you like money, the UAP field is probably not where you're gonna make a fortune. Yeah. Well, I mean, Stephen Greer, he
makes a fortune in the field.
Yeah, so maybe, but I wouldn't say that's through actual UAP dedicated studies.
Justin, for $5,000, I'll hang out with you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, that's Greer. My bad. No, that's just it. I just can't grift the money, and that's probably half my problem is asking for money, because it's like I always forget. I get involved with what we're doing, and I'm looking at it and stuff like that, and I forget that we should be asking for money. We should be, at every single time we should be saying, hey, send UAPX money. Matter of fact, this podcast, we do it for fun. So if you want to fund this podcast, go to the UAPX website and give us a donation or become a subscriber to help us develop this technology and develop these systems. It's only going to go, it's going to become exponential at a certain point. I know a lot of the other serious organizations are getting to the point now where we're kind of realizing that we do need to start helping each other out. So I'm hopeful that in the future that, because there is such limited resources within the field for serious science in the field. I can tell everybody about blue avians and how if you pray and thinking hard enough and meditate hard enough that something is going to talk to you, but I'm not going to go ahead and go down that direction. So yeah, I'm not going to get riled up about any of that. That's his game. Anybody chooses to believe it is their choice. Like I said, if anybody fears or wants something to be true, they will. They'll believe it. They'll believe something that they fear or want it to be true. So, all right. So fare thee well. Thank you, everybody. Spy. I don't know who you actually really are, but thank you for being, very interactive. Thank you, Vicky and PJ. And I'm Cold. Hey, thank you for contributing to the community tonight. Go ahead and get on X, and I did make a Space Oddities community there that I will frequent, and I do get on X at least once or twice a day, so I'll see any type of responses or anything there. And like always, like and subscribe. Go view us on X. Whatever it is, may the algorithms be in our favor, because we want to get the word out. We want to get our platform out, and we want importantly, we want other people to be able to get their opinion out too. So then you can do that through our chat, and we'll also have listeners come on, and chat with us about stuff too, as we get to know certain people that are going to be regulars on the show. This is only our 13th episode, so we can't wait for many more. So when we'll be look forward to the day that we're doing our 100th episode, and that'll be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right. So with that being said, we're about 4 minutes over our post. Take it easy. It was good to see you, Ben. Thank you for forcing me on tonight. I'll be honest, I was dragging my ass and kind of making excuses. So
no excuses.
Yep. Promise. So like and subscribe. Yep. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good night, and God bless.
Peace.